You're watching the Urban Debate and Faye D'Souza. We're focusing on the city of Bangalore. The Karnataka government has had quite a roller coaster ride this year. Questions about women's safety in the city of Bangalore, burning lakes, frothing lakes, traffic and pothole-ridden roads, and of course the very, very complicated problem of the steel flyover and where it's going to go. On the 15th of March, the Siddaramaiah government will present a budget with a slew of populous measures are expected. The stakes are high for the government right now with the upcoming elections, but as urban citizens are keeping their fingers crossed on where the money will be put and how it will be utilised and what lies in store for the city of Bangalore from the Karnataka government. Joining me on the show this evening, Tanveer Ahmed, National Spokesperson of the JDS, Sridhar Pabishetty, CEO of the Bengaluru Foundation, Dinesh Gundurao, the Working President of the Karnataka Pradesh Congress, and of course Vinay Srinivasa. He's an advocate and an activist who joins us on the show as well. Vinay is working right now with a campaign called Bus Bhagya Beku, which is basically about getting more buses on the roads to decongest Bangalore. Gentlemen, I welcome you to this conversation. Dinesh Gundurao, thank you for joining us. I appreciate your presence on the show. It's a big budget from the point of view of the state government, but there are several things that Bangalore is hoping for. And since we don't have representation on this panel of a woman citizen of Bangalore, I will play that part, and I'll tell you that one of the things that women are really hoping for from the budget and some sort of commitment from the state government is CCTV cameras across the city to ensure more safety, and secondly, transportation that ensures again more safety for women after 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m. at night, whether it's the buses or the auto rickshaws or the streets. Is there anything that the state is considering that they can include in the budget to help or to give more confidence to the women who live in the city of Bangalore that they are indeed actually safe?
Well, Bangalore is definitely a safe city. Let's not call it an unsafe city to start off with. But at the same time, any big city will have its problems. Law and order is always an issue, and crime against women, and that is also an issue which is serious. And I think the police is taking many steps in terms of increasing the CCTV cameras across the city. Actually, every ward has been given. There are 198 wards. Each ward has been given for about 15 lakh rupees to install CCTV cameras in their wards. That is going to get done this year, and we're going to have additional policing. We've given new police vehicles for them to go around, so that they're always circulating and moving around in their beats, in their localities. And additional recruitment of police has been done. New police stations have been opened, and we'll have more staff on ground, because the previous government didn't do any recruitment of police constables, whereas we've already recruited almost 10,000 police constables throughout the state, and more are going to be recruited, and even sub-inspectors have been recruited. So we'll have more people on the ground, because we need people on the ground, plus technology to help us, and I think these will be the key factors for the safety of women and safety of everyone. Why only women? Safety of everyone, I suppose.
What is the achievement so far of the CCTV camera? You said every ward has been given 15 lakh rupees to install CCTV cameras. How far is the city of Bangalore covered? How many dark spots do we have?
No, I do not know the exact numbers, I'm sorry, but I think each ward will decide. And plus, there are people, the police department themselves also installing CCTV cameras, and there are many people who are like corporate clients coming forward and under CSR, installing CCTV cameras across the city. So there's a lot of private citizens participation in this also, and there are many citizens in front of their shops, in front of their offices. A lot of these places wherever we find a lot of movement is there, they also on their own are installing CCTV cameras. So there's a lot of private involvement also in this decision or in this project. So I'm sure that we'll have extensive coverage, and a lot of them will be patrolled, and police department themselves also will be installing CCTV cameras.
Right, I want to bring in right now Vinay Srinivasa. Vinay Srinivasa is an advocate and an activist, and he's working with the Bus Bhagya Beku program. Vinay, what are your expectations from the state budget in terms of decongesting Bangalore right now?
See, Bangalore has the BMTC, which is doing a great service right now and is carrying 50 lakh people. but it receives very little or no support from the state government. Like, the state government funds maybe around 75 crores each year for the student pass, but nothing else. What we're telling the state government is that, we need to double the fleet and half the fare. This will pull in at least 10-20 lakh more people who are riding two-wheelers and some of the car goers also into the bus. But in order for the BMTC to do this, it needs some support from the state government. Right now, the state government investment in mobility is very lopsided. For example, you're spending 4,000 crores on a stretch of the metro just from the Silk Board to KR-Puram. If this money is given to the bus, is given to BMTC, the number of buses can easily increase. And see, what happens when the number of buses increases is, one, frequency increases, two, the reach, the coverage increases, and three, you'll be able to have buses round the clock. This addresses questions of women's safety, this addresses questions of overcrowding in buses, and also the fact that, once it's more comfortable, a lot more people will come.
Let me just point out two things. One is, I understand that the management of the BMTC has assured the Bus Bhagya Beku program that 3,000 new buses will be added to the road. And we should also note here at this point that among all of the big cities in India, Bangalore possibly has the best buses in terms of models of the bus or the safety levels of the buses that are being used on the road. So if you're getting 3,000 more buses, is that enough? What is the number ideally that you'd like to hit with this program?
See, the 3,000 buses which are coming in, the net effect is not going to be 3,000 because 1,000 buses which are running on Bangalore's road today need to be scrapped according to the BMTC's own admissions because they've run over 10 lakh kilometers, right? So you're going to have only 2,000 added. The second point to be noted is we have 400 buses lesser in 2017 than compared to 2012. So when you are going to add 3,000 buses, in effect, you're going to have only 1,500, 2,000 more than 2012, and that's clearly not enough for a city like Bangalore. So that's why we are saying that, we need 6,000 buses more, right? The second thing is also about the fares. The reason we're asking for a reduction in the fares is Bangalore has one of the highest fares in the country. The daily pass rate of 65 rupees is the highest in any city in the country. Today, it's cheaper to use a two-wheeler than to use the bus. So therefore, after the hike of the bus fare hike in 2014, the BMTC ridership fell by around 8%. This the BMTC themselves will also tell you. And so BMTC is clear that if the fares are reduced and if the fleet increases, the number of people moving onto the bus will increase, traffic congestion will come down, pollution will come down. But the point is BMTC does not have support. It does not have financial support.
Let's take that question. Let's take that question to the representative of the state government, Mr. Dinesh Gundurao. Is this something that the state is considering? Because we do know that there are normally large allocations made to the completion of the metro project that the state will be looking at very aggressively. But what about the BMTC and the local train connectivity? That's another thing that has been asked for by citizens. Are these two options also being considered by the state? And why doesn't the BMTC receive, or the bus service receive more attention from the state government?
See, I admit that the gentleman, what he's saying is correct, that the government does not support the BMTC to the extent it should, because historically speaking, we were earlier making all these corporations to be able to be self-sufficient, self-financing, and to be a robust organization, whether it's BMTC or the other road transport corporations throughout the state. We have about 5 corporations. So there are 2 or 3 which are loss-making, and there are I think 2 corporations which are not loss-making, 3 are profit-making. So corporations need to run well. They have to have their own source of funds and generate funds from the public. And BMTC is a good corporation which is running efficient service. But his suggestion is that why doesn't not the government subsidize the bus fare and reduce the bus fare so it becomes more easy, or passengers start using the bus more? Definitely there is a logic in that. I will not deny that there is a logic in that. But I think that has to be decided at the government level, whether to do it or not, because we do provide for senior citizens and for students discounted rates, and the government pays for that. And even BMTC also is requesting the government for support, at least in terms of the running expenditure and costs and everything. So let us see what happens. It's a good suggestion. I think it's coming from the citizens, and let's take that suggestion and have a discussion and see whether whether we can force or coerce the government to try and subsidize bus fares. But let's not again link it to metro, because metro is another project. Let's not say that you're spending so much on metro, so spend a little bit less on that and spend more on this. Metro has to be spent. We have to fund the projects. We will do that. But there is some logic in what he's saying. I will not deny that. But ultimately, let's see what the government will actually what the government decides on this has to be discussed at the government level. So far, there's not been any deep discussions on this. But even I'll also take up this issue with the government.
Right, so in the previous budget, it was committed that 2 reaches of the Namma Metro Phase 2 will be completed by 2020. Also, it was committed that a rail-based mass transit system will be introduced in Bangalore to decongest traffic. We haven't seen any movement happen on that. Dinesh Gundarao, is that something that the government is still considering, the rail-based local transport? Because Bangalore already has the rails. All we have to do is create the trains to ferry people back and forth.
Well, you know very well that Government of India and Government of Karnataka and they are going to come out with a special purpose vehicle for this. And Government of Karnataka has already announced that we're going to contribute 350 crores initial fund for the special purpose vehicle to start these trains. In fact, one train has started recently, the suburban rail. So it's basically the suburban rail concept, which we are definitely backing it. And it's also has to be linked up with the Railway Ministry. So it has to be done together. But we are backing it, and we already announced that the 350 crores for this project. And Government of India, once they contribute their share in this, I think then this will go forward. And so that is something which we can definitely utilize. A suburban rail, a good bus service, a good metro service, and metro phase 1 will be done in the month of April, and phase 2 work is going on. And phase 2A, we are starting the work. We're going to soon call for tenders from the Silk Board Junction to KR-Puram. The tender is going to be called soon because the government has cleared that project also. So it has to be a combination of all this. So public transport should become the key guiding factor, and we are committed fully for all these projects.
Right, let me bring in the other voices right now. S. Srinath from the BJP, the BJP state convener, joins us right now. Mr. Srinath, what are the expectations from the government on this budget? And given the fact that we are going into an election year in Karnataka, what are the expectations you believe that the citizens have from the government?
Yeah. It is going to be an election budget basically. They will not be increasing any revenue portion, they will not be really looking into. And most of the investment planning and the expenditure what occurs would be for a short-term gain and not a long-term planning will be there. So I don't expect too much from this budget, because it is going to be quite a few short-term measures what they are going to announce with the budget.
So do you think that, Mr. Srinath, that Bangalore will be given the attention it deserves right now, or are you expecting Bangalore to be bypassed?
Actually, they should have given the attention from the day one. That itself is missing. That's what I feel about it. You see, now the metro has been delayed beyond a point. Even today we are talking that April the last phase would start working and the underground network will operate and things like that. And this should have happened at least 3 years before. There should have been, you see, people are using the metro and they are finding it extremely useful in terms of saving time and saving money. But the government did not take the real action to complete it at the right time. That's what I feel. And they have not been active at all in the last 4 years to push things and finish. That is where the problem is coming. The execution portion, the government is failing in spite of having the budget allocations for that.
Mr. Gundarao, do you want to respond to that? Let's also point out the fact that the metro leading up to the Vidhan Soudha and down to Majestic has become functional in the last 1 year, is being used very extensively by citizens. But Mr. Srinath from the BJP saying that he's disappointed with the execution. Dinesh Gundarao?
Well, he is the opposition party person, so he has to be disappointed. But see, we have got short-term and long-term plans. If you know that last year's budget, we allocated 7,500 crores of worth of work for Bangalore city. last year's budget. So the reason why we allocated 7,500 crores worth of projects was that we know that in that same year we can't execute it. But we have tendered those projects. The work has already begun in many of those projects. So you'll see huge amount of work which has already begun and carried forward through. Metro is, there are technical issues. There was a problem with the tunneling, the equipment breaking down. So, you know, these are issues beyond any government's control. But we are working very hard on it and it's being completed. Now, long term is what? Metro Phase 2 is going on. Metro Phase 2A is a long term project. Metro Phase 2B to the airport is also what this government is doing. That won't be completed in our term, but definitely it's a project that we need to do. So these are all long term projects that we are planning. And we have established so many STPs in Bangalore. By next year, almost 70% of Bangalore's sewage is going to will be treated by these sewage treatment plants. We have established solid waste management plants. Now the garbage issue has more or less, to a large extent, we've been able to solve that problem which the BJP left behind for us. We set up 6 to 7 new units of solid waste management recycling plants. Now we've gone on for waste to energy plants, and we are looking around, you know, using quarries to fill up this garbage and make that into tree parks. So, you know, government has worked very sincerely on solid waste management, on sewage treatment plants, on major projects, metro, so everything we're concentrating on. So,
but Dinesh, while that might be true, the most of the citizens in Bangalore will still tell you.
Long term.
While that may be true, most of the citizens in Bangalore will still tell you that there is garbage piling up at the corner of every street, which is still bothering people. There are empty plots of land on which, you know, slum hutments are coming up. A lot of that is causing sickness. It's causing, you know, the footpaths are an issue still. So Bangalore is still not being made a walkable city. There's garbage at the end of every street. I want to bring in Tanveer Ahmed. Tanveer Ahmed, it's true that there has been some work that has happened. What is your, and again, pointing out that Tanveer Ahmed is in the opposition, what is your expectation from this budget?
Faye, since this is going to be an election budget, all I would tell the government of Karnataka is not to give a very populist budget. Let it be very practical, because from last 4 years, whatever they have committed to for the city, they have not executed more than 70% of it. First and foremost, Dinesh Gundu Rao, a very senior leader of Congress, did really point out on 4 important aspects. And the 5th important aspect, which government really needs to really give their brainer to, is drinking water. There is a huge drinking water problem here. And second thing, sewage treatment plan. Had we had sewage treatment plant, and trust me, we wouldn't have had fire at Bengaluru Lake. We wouldn't have had those problems. And second thing, what are the populous budget the government has given? Steel bridge, they have to really backtrack. Couple of road plans which they have given, they had to backtrack. Women's safety, we all know what is exactly happening here. Not only women, what is happening with kids. This is absolutely a city which really needs to be given heart, mind and soul. Not keeping election into mind, which is what I am going to expect from Siddaramaiah's government to do. They are definitely going to keep election into in their mind. And one more thing, Dinesh Gundu Rao, I think whether he said voluntarily or it just came out of his mouth, he said we are not going to complete this in our term. I don't know what exactly he meant, that they are not going to come back to government and somebody else have to take the development project forward. But however, transportation needs to be really given an importance. And city is congested beyond its capacity. So all these important things needs to be considered.
Let's take those points one by one, and I'll invite anyone in the panel to jump in. If you want to say anything, just raise your hand so I know. Dinesh Gundu Rao, do you want to respond to that? You know, first of all, yeah, Sridhar, I'll come to you. 100 crore rupees, Dinesh Gundu Rao, was allocated last year to lake development in Bangalore. We all know the state of the lakes in Bangalore. In fact, we have found out that the expert committee that submitted its report on how to fix the problem in Bengaluru 8 months ago have told us that no work has been done and Bengaluru has not been cleaned up. The state government has received the report but has taken absolutely no action about it. Where is the 100 crore rupees for lakes? Where have they gone?
A lot of funds. No, they have received an assurance of about 1,800 crores and sanction of around 400 crores have come in.
One second, Mr.
And
Sridhar. One second,
which
sir.
they
I'll
have
come back
not
to you.
been able to spend on the draft relief. That is the problem. I mean, they have money, they have resources.
Okay, so you're saying the state government has money that the execution is lacking. Dinesh Gundu Rao, go ahead.
Sir,
No, first of all, when I said that these are long-term projects which won't be completed in our term, what I meant was in this term. And the earliest person had said that government is thinking short-term. We're not thinking short-term. What I meant that a metro project phase 2A will take 3-4 years to complete. So I'm not saying it will be done only this year. So on one side, if I say short term, that becomes populist. Long term is something which is not populist. Now, steel bridge was not a populist measure. It would not have been completed in our term. It would have taken a year and a half more to finish it. So who wins the next election, I cannot say. Neither can you say. But we all hope that we all win. But that depends upon the people's wishes. So that's that apart. Now the second thing is on Bengaluru. You know,
sir,
STP plants are being built. I think there are 4 STP plants which are being built on Bengaluru. I'm not exactly sure of the numbers because I didn't come prepared with those numbers on Bengaluru.
Yes,
but
go ahead.
We will. There are plants which are being built, and by next year, a lot of the treatment, a lot of the sewage entering Bengaluru will be treated, and for the remaining 30% which cannot be treated, they are thinking of some other way of providing a channel to bypass that. And in fact, we are the first city in India which is now going to take all the treated water and we are going to supply it to our neighboring Kolar and Chikbalapur districts to fill up the lakes and tanks over there. That's a huge project that we are executing, which work has already started, where the recycled water is going to be pumped into tanks and lakes in the neighboring districts of Bengaluru. That's one of the fantastic projects that we are doing.
Right.
Make it that is something that we have
while
approved of
I
and we want to
accept
do
that
for the long term water requirement for Bengaluru. So we are thinking long term.
I'll bring in Sridhar Pabishetty here because I do understand, Dinesh Gundu Rao, that the expert committee had given out 2 sets of suggestions. One, the long-term sets of suggestions which you just mentioned of the treatment of water. The second one was the short-term immediate need to actually treat the water immediately so it no longer catches fire and froths. Sridhar Pabishetty, go ahead.
Yeah, I will be happy to give a copy of the expert committee report to Mr. Dinesh Gundu Rao, because he needs to understand what is the status of affair of all the parastatal agencies, including BBMP. The fundamental challenge has been that there are so many non-monetary measures that could have been actioned so far, but has not been actioned. Somewhere a distraction has only been towards tenderable parts of work rather than overall recommendations of the expert committee panel, right? And being an expert member on that panel, it always, we are pained to see that a comprehensive view is not taken of what the committee wanted to tell the government, but only they cherry pick and do what they want to do. So a sincere suggestion and request to Mr. Dinesh Gundu Rao is to confront the problem and ensure the parastatals work in a coordinated fashion.
Sir, if you just give me a second. Sridhar, give me a second. I'll come back to you. I just want to call out the recommendations of the expert committee on Bengaluru Lake. Short-term recommendations, regular harvesting of macrophytes. The BDA, and this is a very immediate thing that can be done overnight, Mr. Gundu Rao. BDA, please stop dumping municipal solid waste in the lake. BBMP, please evict all waste processing units. BBMP and Revenue Department, stop dumping construction debris in the lake. Surveillance cameras and a fence to be built around the lake so that nothing can be dumped in the lake. These are the short-term recommendations, none of which have been actioned up till now. And if we had actioned them, then perhaps the last couple of fires that we saw would not have happened. Yes, the long-term suggestions were setting up a sewage treatment plant, taking on a one-time treatment of the lake, reallocating the settlements in the catchment area and the slums to other parts of the city and things like that, which we understand the state government is looking at. But the immediate solutions, like putting a fence and not having the BBMP and the BDA themselves dump garbage and construction debris in the lake, has not happened, Mr. Gundu Rao. And these are the recommendations that have been submitted to the state committee, to the state government 8 months ago.
No, I do not know whether this has not happened. I'm not an expert on this issue. Neither do I know exactly what has happened. But garbage being dumped, I don't know whether if you're saying BBMP is dumping garbage and BBMP is dumping debris, then definitely that is something nobody can defend. But also it may not be just BBMP doing it. It could be even private people, citizens going over there and trying to dump it also. So we've got to look at that angle. But anyway, if there are short-term measures and which I'm sure, see, Bengaluru is a problem which the government is grappling with. I do not think for any reason government would have neglected any of these recommendations. Unless there has been some reasons for it, I do not know why they would not have done it. But anyway, I will definitely look into this issue that you have raised. I'm not an expert on this issue, but if there are lacunas, I will definitely speak to our minister and say that they try and speed up these things. That much I can say. But government is very serious on solving these problems. It's very easy for someone to sit and say these are the problems, but to solve it is not so easy. And we have some foundations in Karnataka, in Bengaluru, which now in the Akrama Sakrama scheme. Now, that was something where we were looking at to generate a lot of resources for Bengaluru's development, for our treatment plants, for our solid waste management. Now, the Akrama Sakrama scheme has been, now they've gone to Supreme Court and state that Akrama Sakrama scheme, where this was done by the previous government and we have continued forward, and the members of the present BJP itself are opposing this scheme. So, we would have earned a lot of money through that, which would have helped us in doing all these projects. So, there are some foundations which are like, with political motives, with vested interests, trying to derail Bengaluru's growth. And some of them did a lot of politics on the steel bridge issue also. But we will take it in our stride, and we will work towards, at least, let me tell you sincerely, that Congress is doing its best to see that Bengaluru, now it's called the most dynamic city in the world. We have received the highest number of investments. We are the aerospace capital. Oracle is coming. Apple is coming. Investments are flowing into Bengaluru city. And why are these people trying to malign the city and talking only about the negatives? Some of the foundations and trusts that are there, NGOs running in Bengaluru, are just out to malign the government and malign the city. It's a one-point agenda that they have, because they are politically backed by the BJP.
Would you give us names, Mr. Gundurao? Which are these foundations that you're referring to?
Like Namma Foundation, which is run by Mr. Rajiv Chandrasekhar, they never talk anything good about Bengaluru. They never talk anything about investments coming into Bengaluru. Akrama Sakrama, they objected. Now, he is part of the NDA.
In fact, all right.
The BJP leaders don't oppose, but they go to Supreme Court and they stay the orders.
I must allow Sridhar Pabishetty, who represents the Namma Bengaluru Foundation that you just mentioned, to respond to that. Sridhar Pabishetty, that was a direct accusation on the NBF. Go ahead.
I think it's very, very unfortunate that Mr. Dinesh Gundurao says that it's so easy to make accusations. It was last April say that for the Bangalore Development Minister from his own party, right, we gave a recommendation of how do you save Bellandur Lake. It was a document that we gave it to him, and at last they constituted a committee, and in the committee we have been there in every meeting. Namma Bengaluru Foundation has been there in every meeting and constructively involving stakeholders and giving recommendations. That has not been paid back in commitment and political will by the government, and that is something that Dinesh Gundurao should own and make a commitment of what you said in the program, telling by when will all these actions be taken. A time-bound response to the Save Bellandur, the experts committee report is what I demand from Dinesh Gundurao, and not give false promises. Don't hoodwink. The commitments are out there, the expert committee report is out there. Show now the political will and commitment to the city of Bengaluru by acting on it. Point number 2, Akrama Sakrama. This is the most unfortunate thing that I am hearing today by a government representative. How can you make an amendment which is against the stated objectives of the same act? Right? The act says that we have to have planned development and we should not allow real estate speculation. The amendment exactly has all of it, and we have opposed it irrespective of which government has been in power. Even if Tanveer Ahmed's government comes in the next election, we will oppose it if they plan to do Akrama Sakrama. Failure to govern is not an excuse to make money. Failure to govern is what Akrama Sakrama is all about. Please set the government in order. Make sure your government enforces law. Pardoning mistakes made in the name of fine and revenue generation is a stupid way to run the government.
Sridhar Pabishetty also responded to the fact that Dinesh Gundurao said the Namma Bengaluru Foundation never says anything positive about the city, that you're just out to malign the government.
I think it's far from truth. Everybody knows what we have done. We have actually invited the Bengaluru Development Minister last February and told him to evolve a comprehensive mobility plan with various suggestions. We are the ones who are saying that please put a better foot forward as far as suburban railway is concerned. 8,000 crores is what RITES report says will give us 400 kilometers of suburban rail connectivity. What have we achieved? We have come one step forward with only 300 crores investment. I would want Dinesh Gundu Rao to make a commitment of saying that we will put in 2,000 crores and make sure that suburban rail will be a robust reality and not a real chutku toy train that's running around. When they up the ante, the state government will be forced to respond. Even if they don't respond, we will definitely make sure that they'll respond. The point is, the best foot forward is what we demand from our state government, irrespective of which party there is. There is no partisanship as far as our demand for improving the governance of the city is concerned. And I don't really think
I'll get him to respond to that as well. But Sridhar Pavisheti, in your opinion, in the term that this state government has had up till now, would you say they've done anything right? Have there been any improvements in any areas in the city?
Well, very, very rarely, but definitely as far as the 350 crore commitment that the state government has put on the suburban rail, we welcome. We actually see that most of the other activity is stuck between tenders and bad tenders. The government should coordinate better. They should leverage things better. Pothole-free roads. We have heard from the BBMP commissioner with different mayors from the same party saying, oh, we will be pothole-free, but that never happened. You just have to put a revolving fund with commitments that payments will be made on time. Today, nobody even bids for BBMP tenders.
Okay.
No contract.
All right. Let me bring in other voices as well. Tanveer Ahmed had his hand up. Tanveer, go ahead.
Actually, for the first time, I would like to agree with what Dinesh said, because as we all know, Rajiv Chandrasekhar certainly have a vested interest. Let me just cutting across the party line, I would like to say, just saying that Congress government has done absolutely nothing would definitely be such a sad statement from any political party or any political representative. One. Second part, we all need to, very, very important thing. Today, Bangalore once upon a time, which was known as a garden city. As we all know, from 2015 to 2017, we have lost 12% of lung space. Kids are having asthma, kids are having, very, very serious chronic diseases like cancer because the lung space. I think Dinesh Gundu Rao, since he is the party president right now, the working party president, we also need to concentrate on the land mafia and the sand mafia, which is growing rampantly in the city of Bangalore. If at all we curb this, we could get back our lung space, 12% of lung space, which we have lost in last 2 years. That is one important point. And second thing, water. As we all know, by 2019 and 2020, half of the Bangalore have to leave Bangalore and settle somewhere where we have water resources. Bangalore do have a problem, acute problem. If at all we would develop our lakes and make them drinkable, if we make our lake water usable, then we are able to solve more than 40% of our water problem which are existing in Bangalore. And yes, that is two recommendations to the state government, current state government.
All right. Also, I want to take this back to Vinesh Srinivasa. Vinesh Srinivasa, you've been working with the government. What responses have you received from the government so far? You put forward the Bus Bhagya Beku, but what kind of response have you received from the state government and the local government so far in terms of requests that you put out?
See, as far as the Bus Bhagya Beku campaign is concerned, the BMTC MD and the chairman and the transport minister, Mr. Ramling Reddy, have said that we will give 3,000 buses. But even those 3,000, like I said, it's not completely sure because the process is not complete. And two, even when the 3,000 come in, because there are 1,500 buses to be scrapped, it's not going to be enough. So we just want them to take the bus commuters of Bangalore very seriously. 50 lakh people is half the population of Bangalore, right? The other thing that the state government can do very easily is BMTC pays hundreds of crores of taxes to the state government. Now, this is not, really logical, because BMTC is a public service. They're paying diesel tax, motor vehicle tax, road tax, VAT and sales tax on spare parts. Metro is exempt from a lot of taxes. Similarly, we are not saying don't do anything for the metro. We're not telling the government don't invest money in the metro. We're saying that, BMTC will give you more returns for these investment. At least give them back the taxes that they're getting. And one more thing is, the state government has been saying, and the BBMP has been saying, we'll implement a paid parking policy. Now, we definitely want a paid parking policy to discourage private vehicles. And the money which comes in through this parking fees of private vehicles can again be channeled to BMTC. That is one thing. The second thing is, whether it is the Congress government or BJP government, irrespective of the party in power, people seem to be thinking that we can build our way out of congestion. So the BJP proposed signal-free corridors. The Congress is saying we'll have an elevated corridor, for 25,000 crores of around 80 to 120 kilometers. We'd like to request that, nowhere in the world, when you try to build your way out of congestion, it works. The more you build, the more cars you attract. This 25,000 crores can easily be given to Namarelu, to BMTC, and also constructing those amount of elevated corridors. We'll have to fell thousands of trees. We'll have to lose a lot more road space. We really don't need these elevated corridors. We need better public transport. We need more money for cycling. Today BMTC is not able to get a separate bus lane in the city. These are things which don't need money. Just have a separate bus lane.
A separate bus lane, and all over the world we found that when we put in a separate bus lane, that a lot more people can use the buses, and it makes the bus service much faster and more attractive. Dinesh Gundurao, basically these are the problems that we've put together: women's safety, and possibly, like you said, CCTV cameras and more policing on the roads, sewage treatment, garbage management, the toxic lakes that need to be treated, and of course the acute water shortage that Bangalore is bound to face during the summer season. What are the solutions immediately for the citizens of Bangalore who are watching right now? What are the immediate solutions that the government has in mind for this coming summer, which is the short-term water problem? And what is the solution long-term?
See, the solution long term, we recently had a meeting. Our minister, Mr. George, called all the MLAs, MLCs and had a discussion, and he very clearly said that we have enough water to last till May end. By then, hopefully, rains will come, and then that water from Kaveri we will be able to use. So, hopefully, till by May, rains will start. In case there are not going to be any rains in May also, then we are working at an alternative plan to use some of the dead storage water from the KR dam, Krishnaraj Sagar dam, to use it for drinking water purposes. So that is the worst case scenario, but definitely I'm sure we will have rains and drinking water will be, but we will be able to manage till May end, not an issue. We have enough water supply for that. Long term is, yes, the Kaveri 5th stage is a project which will augment our water supply. The Mekedatu reservoir that government has sanctioned now, which we are looking at to store water near the Tamil Nadu border, will also be able to be used for water supply. And in the future, I think we need to look at, after 2021, after 2025, what will be the water source. So ultimately it has to be a combination of recycling, reuse, newer technologies, conserving water. All that is something that we all have to evolve. But these are the things that long term and short term that the government has planned. There are other ways of bringing water. Some say from Linganmakki you can bring, that is Sharavati, or you can bring it from the Krishna basin, or you can even pump water from the coast, from Mangalore to Bangalore. So a lot of other proposals are there, but I think all those have got their own issues. So, but as far as drinking water goes, I can assure the citizens of Bengaluru that there will not be any problem till May, and we will be able to manage. But that doesn't mean that we waste our water. We should conserve it to as much as we can, so that water should not be, in these hard times, water should not be wasted. So that is one thing. Second thing, the other problems that we have raised, we are attending to it. We are working overtime. We have funded all these projects. We have put in the monies. Like I said, treatment plants, waste management plants. Bangalore is much more garbage freer than what it was when the BJP was there and the BJP was running the BBMP. Today we are at a much better position. Unfortunately, we have some negative, like I told you earlier, who only look at the... the negative aspects. We are doing a lot of work, and you will see that all these are being executed. Stormwater drains, solid waste management, STPs, metro.
I would like to confront on the Akrama Sakrama.
Metro link
Let's
from
come back to Akrama Sakrama.
to Silk Board. These are all.
No, that was
I don't want to make this into Akrama Sakrama today.
Now the point is,
what I'm trying to say is,
regarding water.
But don't you think
why you are
when Mr.
Gentlemen, one at a time. One second.
Is it?
One second. I know that Mr. Srinath has a question about water. Let's deal with that first. Sridhar, I'll come to you. Let's take these one at a time so the audience can understand.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Srinath.
Yeah, man. See, one is with regarding to water. We have come to a very delicate situation that we may be able to pass through May. Okay. Now it's already tough in number of areas in Bangalore, and borewell groundwater level has gone down, and we have a problem with the water. And there should have been a planning.
Yes.
At least now the plan should have been clear from where they would bring water and fill up Tipgunhalli. They can fill up Tipgunhalli dam and use it as a major storage, either from Kaveri stage 5 or from Linganamaki. Linganamaki is within our own state. We can
absolutely, and I think Mr. Gundurao, the question that is being asked is, how can a city like Bangalore still be completely dependent on rain? How can a city like Bangalore, which let's accept is world class at this point, still be dependent on rain for drinking water? We should have had a plan that didn't involve, I hope it rains.
At least the plan should have been there. If not anything else.
Let me tell you, we are also implementing the Ethanol project.
Making a plan, reaching somewhere, clarity on that.
Now, water is something.
If they want to hammer it out, they can sit for a week, hammer it out and reach a
No, water is something.
Right, go ahead.
We will certainly support them. We are not political in
no,
this.
What I'm trying to say is water is something
we want
which cannot
Bangalore to be comfortable.
Go ahead, Mr. Gundurao.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the closest source of water, apart from Tipgunhalli Lake, is the Kaveri River. Tipgunhalli tank can hardly service a very small portion of Bengaluru. And Ethanol project is something that which we already started. Work is going on, where some of the water will also provide water to Bangalore rural areas surrounding of Bengaluru. So, and there's a proposal to also use that water to fill up the Tipgunhalli tank. There's a proposal for that. But Tipgunhalli tank is a small tank which can cater to a very small portion of Bengaluru city. Ultimately, it's the Kaveri River, which is 120 kilometers away, which is 90 kilometers away, which is servicing us. There's no other close by water source for Bengaluru.
Correct.
And we are rain dependent. Any city, for that matter, for water, will be dependent upon the rain. Because if the rivers dry up, then where is the water?
No. Chennai is already.
So the rains have to fall, the rivers have to fill up, and that's the water that we're going to use.
Chennai doesn't have a drinking water problem today. Chennai doesn't have drinking water problem today. Why can't you people plan? You are there, and all of us, want to solve this problem.
See, like I said earlier, there is an issue about getting water from Linganamaki Reservoir, Sharavati, because that water is only used for power generation and not for irrigation. And there's also an issue about Krishna River. But Krishna is, again, we have to look at environmental issues and the northern Karnataka region issue, and it is a political issue, so I cannot make any comment on that right now.
All right, let me just also give Sridhar Pabishetty an opportunity to confront Mr. Gundurao on the Akrama Sakrama plan. Sridhar, just to let our viewers understand what this plan was, it was basically for those people who could pay the fines and pay the tax and then get their buildings regularized, if I'm not mistaken. That plan did not go through. Sridhar Pabishetty, go ahead.
Yeah. So my request for Mr. Dinesh Gundurao is to articulate why he thinks the Supreme Court stay on the arguments that we have raised of saying that this goes against planned development and also promotes speculation in real estate is wrong. Justifying just for the sake of raising money is a really bad way of governing.
Go ahead, Dinesh Gundurao.
No, then the only issue now I would ask him is that there are buildings which are irregular, which are not regular, which have been constructed not as per plan. There are violations in their floor area space, in their setbacks. Now, do we demolish all these lakhs and lakhs of houses and constructed buildings, or should we come out with a plan? Because many cities have done this. Chennai has done this, Hyderabad has done this, Delhi has also done this. So, you know, this is not something new, and this is something that we thought, let's regularize the property, because the people who are living there, they also will get the benefit of the regularization, and government also earns money. Or the other option is not to regularize it, let it be illegal, and one day think of demolishing all these lakhs and lakhs of houses.
We've heard all of the commitments that you've made, Dinesh Gundurao.
But right way.
One second, Sridhar, I'll come back to you. Yes, Sridhar, I'll come back to you. Dinesh Gundurao, I just want one commitment from you before we get into closing arguments, which is towards, and I'm not going to get into an argument of whether Bangalore is safe or Bangalore is unsafe. Let's set that aside for another 1 hour debate. What is the commitment that the government is making, the state government is making towards the female citizens of the city of Bangalore? How will you ensure safety on our streets?
See, I am not the government, I represent the Congress party, but at the same time, I think we require better policing, better private people to cooperate with us, citizens to cooperate with us, and easier access for these elderly people, better pedestrian movement for them, easier for them to access roads, cross roads, have more skywalks, build more subways, make it more easy for people to walk, especially for the elderly, because on the footpaths we see, in some of the roads are so big, but the footpaths are so small. And one of the most pioneering work that Bengaluru has done is on these tender shore roads, which we are taking forward, and where that footpaths are made broader so people can walk. So improve the vigilance, and have more technological like CCTV cameras and other methods of finding out lawbreakers, and make senior citizens be able to access public spaces more easily. I think that should be one of the key things that we need to look at.
All right, I want closing statements from all of our panelists about what and put just one thing on the priority list right now that we can then send to the government on behalf of citizens. I'm going to start with Vinay Srinivasa. I know it's Bus Bhagya Beku that's on your list. Is that your one-point agenda?
Well, yeah, the Bus Bhagya list is one thing. And the buses, the money we are asking is not just to half the fare and to double the fleet, but Bangalore has 8,000 bus stops, of which only 2,500 have shelters. The rest don't have any shelter, which leads to increasing problems with safety of women and children using the bus stops. Right? So we want money for reducing the fare, increasing the number of buses, and for making sure all bus stops have a shelter. The second thing is citizens don't want money poured into projects which will make it easier for cars, that is elevated corridors, signal free corridors, and road widening. Please put that money into cycling, please put that money into buses, please put that money into commuter rail, please put that money into making sure that people can walk.
All right, very quickly.
And we need to have like a policy decision to make sure that buses continue to get money in the future.
Srinath, go ahead. What would you put on the list for the government? Is it drinking water, sir?
Basically, overall improvement on the execution side, because they have budget in the Bangalore city, they should use the budget in the right way, and put better efforts on the execution segment, so that the results are seen immediately, because there is no, you don't have to wait for 2 years for that. And for water, they need to plan for a long term. If they want a combined session, they want to call a special session, they can call and take an approval, whatever they want. This needs to be done on a priority basis.
Sridhar Pavishetty?
I would urge the government to become more outcome focused rather than just saying, I put 500 crores, 600 crores and achieve nothing. How will you improve the air quality of people who are breathing, who are suffering every single day? And that, when you start from there, you will come up with a bouquet of solutions and you will be able to achieve much of it much easily. Second is, what will you do for water quality and water quantity that's available to the city of Bengaluru? There are so many sections of society who pay the highest amount of per liter cost, but they get the least amount of water. How do you make sure that the low-income communities get better access to better water? Thirdly, how will you look at mobility improvement as a comprehensive solution? We have already suggested quite a few things, and we would urge the government to make sure that it starts looking at outcomes rather than just inputs. And that's where I would say suburban rail, a lot more focus is important. And finally, planned development. You can't do akrama sakrama without holding people who allowed it to happen accountable. If that was the exact missing piece. If you had fixed accountability of who is responsible for this mess, the Supreme Court would have listened to your arguments favorably. So put the accountability framework in place, make sure that you will never allow something like this to happen again.
Right.
Just for rejigging your memory, akrama sakrama has happened earlier in Bangalore, so you can't use that excuse again.
All right, Tanveer Ahmed, what would you put on the list for the government?
First and foremost, regenerating all our lakes, making the lake water usable for the city of Bangalore. And Faye, women's safety is definitely a major issue, because being a father of two daughters, I really understand how it really matters to every parent. It really sounds very nice that they have spent 15 lakh rupees for every constituency and every ward, but nothing has been implemented. A planned way of development of Bangalore, not a populist budget. That is what exactly I would really ask for the state government to do.
All right, we've run out of time, but I'm going to put this list up. And remember, we're tracking the budget. So when it does come out, this is what we're expecting. A separate and a clear allocation towards women's safety. It needs to say that this is the money we're putting towards safety for women in the city of Bangalore. That money can be used for CCTV cameras, for bringing in more police officers, for putting in more equipment, for putting in helplines or hotlines or whatever is needed at this point. But it needs to be mentioned as an indication of the government's intention. Bus shelters, more buses, lower fares, a larger investment towards the bus system, outcome-focused, planning that we can actually find out where the money is going and if it's actually being used. And of course, the tremendous problem that Bangalore is having with drinking water. We're going to run out of drinking water in May, and we can't have that. We still can't be a city that is this majestic, dependent on rain. We should have better plans, and the opposition saying that they'll work with the government on that. The more immediate issues of garbage disposal piling up on the streets of Bangalore, the sewage that seems to be a problem, and of course, the lakes that are in desperate need for help. We will expect, of course, the Karnataka government to pay attention to all of these problems, given the fact that it is an election year and the people of Bangalore do matter in their opinions. Thanks for watching.